Many entrepreneurs build their business out of their passion and they go with the flow organically. But there's merit in building a business with a clear vision, mission, and looking at your financial statement. I'm talking to Gayathri Vamsi, the founder of Buzzing Bees and Literacy Bees. She's built these two businesses very differently, and she's going to share her experience. So let's get right into it. Hi, Gayatri. Welcome to Unboxing Entrepreneurship.
Hi, Pallavi. Good morning.
Hi. So, thank you for coming on the show. And as I was just telling you, this show is all about talking to bootstrapped entrepreneurs and understanding their journey. Every entrepreneur has something to contribute, that other entrepreneurs can learn from. Specifically, I want to talk to you about, how you built two businesses very differently. But before we get into that, maybe you want to tell us about your entrepreneurship journey, how you got started.
Hi, Pallavi. Thank you so much for having me on your show. So, this is my first show that I'm doing with somebody after incubation. So, it's going to be a memorable one. So, beginning with me, how it started, Buzzing Bees actually started very organically.
Hmm.
I was a homeschooling mother in the US and I
Hmm.
was on H4. Like,
Hmm.
first I was on H4 and then I became a
Yeah.
homeschooling mother. But because see, being on H4, I was not allowed to work. So
Hmm.
I'm somebody who cannot just accept it. But it was
Hmm.
not in my control, right? So I
Hmm.
actually started, figuring out if I could do anything else. That's when I ventured into volunteering. So
Hmm.
coincidentally, volunteering was in the field of education. So that's how I started my journey as a volunteer, and that actually gave me an idea about education, child psychology, and a lot of other things. And when I started raising my own boys, I decided to homeschool them only for the selfish reasons, like, I wanted to spend more time with them. So
Hmm.
I thought I will give it, like, a short period. Then
Hmm.
they can always go back to school. But it took a long while. We really enjoyed the process. And during that volunteering in multiple organizations in the US and homeschooling my children, gave me a good understanding of, like, preparing the curriculums,
Hmm.
understanding children. How could I do
Hmm.
better? How can I become a better parent? And because I was their teacher as well, because certain part of homeschooling we used to do our academics also, because I always had one feet in India. So I knew one day I'm going to go back and academics
Hmm.
will play a role. So during that time, I equipped myself by reading, watching a lot of, these TED talks and other things, how to become a
Hmm.
better parent and how to become a better teacher. So when
Hmm.
during that journey, I realized that, see, parenting is not about raising them, it is raising yourself first,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So that really gave me, like, an insight that I have to become a better person first. So I
Hmm.
started, like, working on myself. So that's when emotional intelligence bumped into my life. So
Hmm.
all that, like, fast forward, I was part of, like, few organizations. One organization, I had an opportunity to create the entire spoken Telugu curriculum and
Hmm.
reading and writing part of it. So
Hmm.
that's where, like, all the small chunks of being an educator came into my life. So I
Hmm.
never thought if I come back to India, I would do something on my own or anything. So
Hmm.
fast forward, like, 15 years, we moved back to India.
Hmm.
So kids went back to school. That was my elder one's first condition. If we are
Hmm.
moving back to India, he wanted to go back to school.
Hmm.
One was because everybody would ask him, like, which grade do you go to? Which school do you go to? He didn't have
Hmm.
an answer and eyebrows would raise, right?
Hmm.
So he was like, no,
Hmm.
mama, India, people don't understand homeschooling concept. This was like, few years ago where homeschooling was not picked up well in India. Now
Correct.
it is picking up, right?
Hmm.
So they went back to school. 1 year of moving back to India, like, I was still settling down, understanding. See, because the country changed
Yes.
when I moved out and when I moved in back. So it took a
Hmm.
while. After that, I was kind of lost again. Like, what am I
Hmm.
doing?
Hmm.
So and my kids are voracious readers, Pallavi. So even
Hmm.
to the park, they would carry a book because they had to wait for their turn to get onto the swing and all that.
Hmm.
So a couple of parents in the community had asked me, how did you get that
Hmm.
interest towards reading?
Hmm.
So that conversation led to Buzzing Bees.
I see. And what is the story behind the name Buzzing Bees?
Okay, buzzing bees because my younger one was fascinated with honeybees. We used to read a lot about honeybees
Hmm.
and dinosaurs during that time. He was, I think, 6 years old. So we
Hmm.
understood that, like, honeybees are, like, forever working and they enjoy their work. They don't
Hmm.
complain, like, okay, I'm tired, I need a break or anything. So I wanted to resonate my life
Hmm.
and the work that I do. And without honeybees, there is no world. Without
Hmm.
learning, children cannot uh, get better, like, life
Hmm.
skills or whatever the
Yeah.
school leads, right? That is what
Hmm.
I wanted to do at Buzzing Bees. Like, the life skills that my kids had got through homeschooling, the opportunities or the exposure that they had got through
Hmm.
homeschooling and other venues, I wanted to bring that in Buzzing Bees. So that's why we named it as Buzzing Bees. So we love what we do, we enjoy what we do, we stop that world doesn't exist.
Nice.
That's how I named it Buzzing Bees. So we
Yeah.
started off with phonics classes because that was the interest that this couple of parents who asked me about reading
Hmm.
and all that. So
Hmm.
so that's how we started with phonics classes with two children, and
Hmm.
never ever thought ki, like, it will grow, or I would be adding more classes or more workshops. I would
Hmm.
train teachers, or I would become a parent coach myself, right? Never
Hmm.
thought about it. 2018, when I started Buzzing Bees, it was like, okay, I want to do something. Let me. So this opportunity came in. I picked
Yeah.
it up, taught
Hmm.
those two kids. Then
Hmm.
that was in our apartment where I used to
Hmm.
live that time.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think even those two kids came in, there was no name or anything. It was just phonics classes. And later,
Hmm.
when I decided, after seeing the results in the two kids, I decided, like, let me give it a try. So I stepped
Hmm.
out, shared some space with another kids related venture. So that's when I
Hmm.
named it Buzzing Bees.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. So you say you started very organically, and you started with two kids. So once you started sharing that space with someone else, is that the point of time where you thought, okay, this has real potential as a business, or were you still kind of going along with the flow?
I was just going along with the flow for that next 6 months, Pallavi, when I shared the space. So I
Hmm.
used the same bookshelf, what my kids used to use, the same books, the same
Hmm.
furniture, because they had outgrown all that. So I had
Yeah.
one, two, three small tables and chairs. I used the same in
Hmm.
the extended shared space as well. But
Hmm.
we had named Buzzing Bees, and the tagline was Learning for Life, because I strongly believed reading gives that perspective to you, because I had
Correct.
experienced my own challenges of, like, being a reader versus a non-reader. So I
Hmm.
thought we will just give the tagline, like, learning for life. And
Hmm.
then we started. But when that two kids became six and that six kids became 20, I thought, okay, this has some potential. And
Hmm.
when that kids became 20, I moved to my own space. I got a bigger space, like,
Hmm.
then started working on my own workbooks and like,
Hmm.
structured way of taking the sessions.
Hmm.
So when I moved to a new space and, like, bigger space, I started off with almost 40 kids.
Okay. Hmm.
Okay, that opened. Among the 40 kids, there were few parents who were running their own preschools.
Hmm.
So that gave me an opportunity to train teachers.
I see. Hmm.
And the parents who used to come to drop their kids and pick up, right? They always used to share some challenges with their own parenting or with their. So
Hmm.
that's how the whole parenting awareness session started. Because I
Hmm.
realized I was talking to multiple parents on the same topic. I thought, why not have them together and I
Hmm.
talk to them? So that's how the
Hmm.
parenting awareness session started. So one
Hmm.
after the other, it kept adding and growing organically. Now I'm very, very happy to say, like, I've touched 4,000 families,
Hmm.
have 12 different workshops. I have spoken at the best schools in Bangalore about parenting.
Hmm.
So that's how it organically grew, Pallavi.
Oh, that's awesome. So, obviously, you've accomplished quite a lot in the last, what has it been, 5 years?
5 years.
5 years, right? So, and what I found interesting is that that you were kind of evolving from one stage to another because you were understanding what was the need of the people, not just your customer, but the customer's parents as well. So I find that very interesting. Was there at any point where you started thinking a little bit, from the point of, okay, this is the revenue I want to target, or these are my yearly goals, this is what I want to do? Did you get to that point as well?
No, Pallavi, never thought about it.
Hmm.
Like I was somebody like, I never said no to an opportunity, whether or not I'm proficient in that. I would always pick up that opportunity. I will learn myself.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I self-learned a lot of things for whenever an opportunity came, but
Hmm.
never thought in the revenue terms because I
Hmm.
strongly believe, okay, this is my passion. I will keep working towards what actually gives me that self-satisfaction. Money will follow in,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
and it
Hmm.
did. I'm not
Yeah.
denying that.
Hmm. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So now let's talk about your second venture, Literacy Bees, which I know you're in the process of launching. Tell us a little about what that is going to do and how is it different from Buzzing Bees?
Okay, see, under Buzzing Bees, the first ever, thing that we started was phonics classes. So, which
Hmm.
actually, is a means to an end, right?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
phonics is a methodology where you teach children how to read using sounds and decoding the sounds. So, at one point, there was a wait list.
Hmm.
Okay, so I was not able to cater to the demand that
Hmm.
I had created for phonics classes. So I thought going digital was a natural, way of
Hmm.
scaling up. So
Hmm.
that's how Literacy Bees was born, Palvi. So Literacy Bees is a self-learning digital platform for children to
Hmm.
learn how to read, where English is simplified through gamification and hands-on activities for children.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. All right. And congratulations. I know you're going through the incubation program at IMB for Literacy Bees. So let's talk a little bit about that because obviously there's a lot of structure that is being followed there. And,
Yes.
comparing that to your previous business, I'm sure the way you're looking at the second business is very different. So what has the second experience been like?
So, Pallavi, everything is different because
Hmm.
with Buzzing Bees, I did what came my way. I didn't pave my way towards any success or I need to do this. So, exactly contrary is my journey with Literacy Bees because
Yeah.
Literacy Bees, I pitched in the idea at IIM Bangalore. So, during pre-incubation itself, I could see there's so much structure to becoming an entrepreneur. So that's why
Yeah.
with Buzzing Bees, I always call myself I'm an accidental entrepreneur. Never
I see.
thought of it or anything, right?
Hmm.
So even during Buzzing Bees days, if somebody would ask me, what are your goals for where do you see yourself in next 1 year or 5 years? So that was my common question that I,
Hmm.
faced during any of those interviews. I didn't have an answer during that
Hmm.
time, but for Literacy Bees, yes, I have a mission, I have a vision, I have a
Hmm.
plan how to take it. And see, one venture, the lessons, the experience from one venture will
Hmm.
always help you become better in your next venture, right?
Absolutely.
And the structure, the exposure, the mentoring from IIM Bangalore, I'm sure this is going to be a better and bigger one than Buzzing Bees.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. Does it make you think a lot about the aspects of a business that you haven't thought about before?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Especially the financial planning, your
Yeah.
business plan, all that, right? Like I've never done for Buzzing Bees. Even when I did the logo, I did not sit
Hmm.
down and do a lot of thought process into a logo or a tagline. But with Literacy Bees, I'm spending a lot of time even finalizing the colors.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so definitely, I mean, a structured approach is obviously better. But and so I've had the similar experience where my first business was pretty much built out of my own passion, something that I like to do. Me and my husband, we love to read, so we created an online magazine for children, and it was really from our perspective that we love to read, so we want to give the same opportunity to kids.
Correct.
Having said that, when I've created the second business, I'm more mindful about what the customer wants. How is it that
Mm.
I can help them while I don't have to change myself, but I can help them in their own language, right? What is it that I can
Right.
do? I'm also a little bit more mindful about what are my financial goals, what are my scale goals, how I want to grow my team, like you say, colors, all of these things I have to think about.
Right. See, I can see that in literacy based Pallavi. Like as you said, like
Yeah.
I have a plan or a roadmap, like to
Mm,
put it in that perspective, like okay, this month I need to accomplish this. By this month, like we need to increase our team size. So first
mm,
year, I want to be enrolling 10 schools on board. Second year, I want
mm,
25 schools. Like third year, this is my plan. So I also have a
mm,
CSR plan for literacy base because
mm.
volunteering is something that is always given me everything that I have today,
Yeah.
right? So without that volunteering or being a mother, I wouldn't be an entrepreneur today or an
Mm,
edtech founder today, right?
mm, mm,
So that is also in place. So
mm,
pricing was well thought through. For
mm.
buzzing bees, when the parent came in, I just gave one random number. I didn't
Yeah.
even think like
Yeah.
is this the right price or something. So but for literacy bees, it was like
Mm,
I met a lot of industry experts, mentors in
mm,
the field, so
mm,
strategy experts. So
mm,
then that's how we came up with the pricing, even the
mm,
website to logo to the content. So
mm.
even that content I spoke to like 350 parents myself one on one, not Google form or anything,
Wow.
and
Huh.
150 teachers to
Huh.
understand what are their pain points. Why do
Hmm.
they need an app or why do they need a digital solution? Because there are tons of phonics apps on Play Store today, right? But
Hmm.
what are the things that they are not able to solve that we can
Hmm.
incorporate here? So one major learning was like stimulation on
Hmm.
the child's brain.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So we considering all those
Hmm.
elements when we are designing and building the platform.
Hmm. Hmm. Got it.
So
So
that's
your
structure.
yeah, so your second journey is definitely more mindful, right? Because
Yeah.
you're taking a lot more things into consideration and you're ticking
Yes.
off the boxes and say, I've got the
Yes.
customer side sorted, I've got a pricing strategy sorted. Hmm.
Right.
Got it.
Like right from market research to understanding the customer, having my OKRs in place. So that's where
Hmm.
IMB played a huge role.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what you have to do, not just for today, even for tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. And definitely when you're working without a plan and you're just following your passion, it's great as a solopreneur because literally you are doing everything, all your mission,
Hmm.
vision, everything is very sorted in your head. But when you're thinking about scaling and you have to cascade the same thing to people who have to work for you, you have to get them involved in the mission. And the only way that you can do that is when you have a very clear plan that this is what I'm going to achieve in 5 years. This is where you're
Right.
going to be in 5 years, right? So,
Right.
so yeah. So
Yeah,
if you
because
had
if
to,
you're able
sorry,
to sell
go
that
on.
mission, you're able to sell that mission, you cannot have people on board, right?
Mm, mm,
You're
mm.
so true. Like, you have to show them clearly what is their future going to be with the company.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Awesome. So if you had to do this again, would you go back and have a clear plan for buzzing bees as well, or is that still something that is driven out of passion?
No, Pallavi, Buzzing Bees is very, 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 very passion-driven
Yeah,
venture. I would
yeah.
continue Buzzing Bees that way. I will continue Literacy Bees as an IIM a student. That is Gayatri. This is Gayatri from IIM Bangalore.
That's a nice way to put it. Oh, that's good, good. No, it was good to get your perspective because you are someone who's built two businesses and you build them very differently. And I mean, I don't know whether there is a right or a wrong. I feel that from my personal experience also, I feel that something coming out of your passion is definitely driven in a very different way. Sure, you don't have goals and all, but maybe, at least you're motivated on a very long-term basis. Whereas something, when you follow a little bit of structure, it can get very mundane, because then you have to think about, oh, I have to talk to 150 parents, like you said, right? I have to talk to 150 parents. I have to get pricing strategy from someone. I have to get somebody to create the logo. So there's a lot more work involved in building and following a structure. Having said that, I think the balance is the better option.
Right.
That you start something that you really feel motivated about, but at some point you have to think about scaling. Some point you have to think about following a structure. That's how you will grow into a very large company, or whatever, a large company, I guess.
Right. See, Pallavi, again, for both the companies, it is passion that is driving me, because I'm very strongly associated with phonics, English, and reading. So even at Buzzing Bees, what we do is all those, similar things. So literacy Bees is a digital avatar of part of Buzzing Bees. So the
Yeah.
passion is still the same, but we are doing it in a different, not a different way, a structured and structured approach for literacy Bees. So whereas, like, even for Buzzing Bees, I think in future I would bring in certain learnings from literacy bees to Buzzing Bees as well.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Because once you learn, you will implement in all walks of your life.
Correct. Yeah, got it. Got it. All right. So this was a good conversation. Thank you for sharing, the contrasting journeys that you've had across the two ventures. And I'm sure it'll help people to decide which paths they want to follow.
So it's nothing like, path A or path B, Pallavi. It's always like, a combination where you will pick up, like, being unorganized, or like, not having any futuristic expectations. You will still continue. At times you
Yeah.
will bring more structure to your company, right? So there's no right. See, entrepreneurship itself is like, you never know what goes or what doesn't go, right? So what
Correct.
works or what doesn't work. So we have to weigh in that particular event or particular project. What works for you, keep moving forward. Whether or not you're going faster, slower, doesn't matter. As long as you're moving forward, you're able to satisfy yourself. I think that's good to go. You don't have to prove to somebody, or like,
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Got it. No,
that's
that's
always been my belief.
yeah. No. That's good. Yeah, very well said. Because entrepreneurship is also a deeply personal journey, right? Every entrepreneur is doing something because they have the passion for it. They want to achieve something. Otherwise, there is no dearth of what else they can do in life. So it is a
Right.
deeply personal journey.
Very true.
Yeah. All right. All right. Thank you so much for giving us your time, and we look forward to seeing where you're going to grow over the next 1 year.
Thank you, Pallavi. Thank you so much for having me over. It was pleasure talking to you and sharing my journey with you. And yes, let's see how things unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you, Pallavi. Bye bye.